Last round's switch-ups certainly helped highlight a few specialists in each of the cars, but it's back to business as usual this week, and it'll take place at a classic venue. Sebring's history with Porsche goes deep, and there's quite a standard to live up to here. We'll see who gets the pride of claiming the victory as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring International Raceway is perhaps most well known for its rough surface around much of the track. To dig into it a little bit more, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, DJ, it's a place known for chewing up and spitting out cars. Will it eat up a few of our Porsches today?
Well, let's hope not, Joe, but these drivers will have their hands full. Now, there are some good overtaking opportunities on this track, most specifically looking down into Sunset Bend and down into the Hairpin, although you can see an aggressive move or two going into turn 1. For a lot of the rest of the track, though, it's all about precision and incident mitigation, being very, very careful. In these GT cars, they do have a little bit firmer suspensions than some of their open rear counterparts, or softer suspensions. They're able to take bumps a little bit better, but if drivers are not constantly on their game, that constantly undulating surface, that bump that comes every single time you cross over this track, it can really throw you for a loop. You've got to be very, very flexible with your left foot on the brake pedal. Make sure to not be providing one consistent braking force. You need to be changing a lot through it. The tricky areas that we always see guys have some problems in, well, that's going through Le Mans, going through Bishop, also running through Collier into Tower Turn. Drivers are going to have to be careful no matter what they do. And once we throw in some of the lap traffic that comes from running these GT4s with the 911s, it can get pretty tricky, and drivers are going to have their head on a constant swivel.
Well, before the drivers even hit the track for the actual race, we want to go through our sponsors, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. As we take a look at the championship up at the top of the GT1s at this point, you've got Bayan Salehi just barely ahead of Michael Johnson by 5 points. Michael still looking for that win, unfortunately. Travis Brown coming back into the fray now. He bumps himself into third and definitely within range. Watch out for Fulton and Latvala and their close fight for the fourth position as well. DJ, what about the GT2s?
Well, it's a little bit more spread out in that GT2 category, Joe. Jerry Freckleton still holding on to the lead by a 30-point margin over John Momeyer. Aaron Edwards, 28 points back of Momeyer, and Tyler King, they're 71 points back overall. Adam Fulton, though, making things very interesting for Tyler King. He is only a point back, so that battle for fourth definitely up for play here in the GT2s.
And as for today's race details, we are getting well into the season at this stage. We are on round 12 out of 24, so exactly the halfway mark after today is over. There's the two classes that they are able to run. If you tuned in last week for the first time, it's going to be switched around, and this is the norm. But it is 45 minutes of open qualifying, which they'll probably need considering the long laps around here for a 30-minute race here today at Sebring. And it is open setup. I have a feeling that those setups will be important, DJ, considering the bumps at this place.
Yeah, most certainly. You're going to want to balance the right amount of stiffness and softness in that suspension. Make sure you get a good feel over the bumps while not giving up too much grip on the track. That's especially going to be important in those GT2 cars like we're watching right here. Matthew Sipik making his way around Sunset right now. There's not a lot of aerodynamic grip. They primarily rely on mechanical grip in those cars. So suspension absolutely key in the GT2 category, although it is very, very important in the GT1s as well.
Now in the qualifying, Ost is the provisional pole. Hagendick's coming back out to try and see if he can snatch that pole away. He's still definitely got time for it. And Sipek, who has been very quick lately since his recent introduction, has been climbing up the points order and is looking to get another pole position to his name. Rondeau's going to try and deny him. But what about our points leader down in those GT2s? Freckleton still up there in the points, and only third on the position. He's actually not even out on track right now, so he must feel pretty confident. Now, well, I take it back. He's taking off right now.
Well, Joe, that's a little bit par for the course. Kind of an interesting note there that Freckleton hasn't set a pole position this entire season yet. So he has made up his points by just making his way up through the field, as we see Corey Latvala there crossing over the line on it looked like an outlap. Same there for Brian Salehi. You can see those bumps just absolutely banging across the car there. Very, very tough on these suspensions.
So as we watch Shulam currently sitting in the fifth position down in those GT2s, not able to improve that time by. I talked about the long laps around here. Even the fast GT2s are running 2:10s just to get a single lap in. So they won't be able to iterate much with these 6 minutes left to go.
Yeah, not so much. Here comes Michael Robin. Looks like a slow lap for him. We normally don't think of Sebring as one of the longer tracks on the American calendar, but the truth is it is an absolute monster. There goes Adam Fulton, unable to improve as well. I think the next car up in line here looks like, not sure who it is. Oh, it's BJ Fulton. There he comes, coming across there, trying to do a little bit better. He's going to be slow as well. Drivers really having some problems setting some quick times here in the closing stages of this qualifying session.
Like Hagendick on his flyer now, that he has crossed the start-finish line. Getting a little bit of a tow from BJ Fulton, too. Wonder if there's going to be some spots that'll help him find that little bit of speed. Momeyer, in the meantime, coming up to the fearsome Sunset Bend. He actually had a pretty good run last week. He finished ahead of Freckleton for the first time since round 5 at Imola.
A very wide line there coming out of Sunset for Momeyer. Going to try to improve on a 2:127. Not able to do it, about 2/10 off. He's currently back in 6th. 3 places back of that title rival Freckleton, so he's going to have to do better here in the last 5 minutes of qualifying.
So Freckleton on his outlap trying to improve, knowing the championship could be on the line. Same thing with Salehi, our championship leader, only in 5th. Make that 4th now as he crosses with a 55.4. He's got to make up less than a tenth to get ahead of Travis Brown. And considering they are first and third in the points, that could wind up being important. No, oh, Brown just towed back to the pits himself. And that might be, no, I think he has enough time to get back out if he wants one more, but it's going to be tight.
Yeah, it will indeed. Here comes Michael Robon, currently in 9th place in that GT1 category. He's going to cross over the line, able to improve his time, but not able to improve his position. But here is Adam Fulton. Ooh, that's not the ideal line there, going through Sunset, taking out a couple of cones on the way in anger.
Don't think that's going to be a quick one for him. So instead, we look at BJ Fulton as he comes down to the timing line. It's going to be a 56.4. That's going to be just off of his quickest, unfortunately. Hagendick, that one didn't count. He must have had an off track somewhere. Ost, still our pole sitter. Looks like that lap didn't count for him, so his 55 flat stays put.
Indeed, getting a nice little tow here from Michael Hollander. Hollander kicking up some dirt for good measure as they break down into those tricky corners. Here comes Jeffrey Shulam, though. That looks like an out lap for Shulam, but he will have time to set a good one here if he wants it.
So Jeffrey hoping to try and improve as we watch Corey Lotvola as well, the Californian to the line. Shulam didn't improve. Lotvola in 6. Another one that seems to have had his lap deleted, unfortunately. 3 minutes to go now. I see Travis Brown taking to the track yet again. Good enough for maybe 1 or 2 flyers if he can make it stick. What about Freckleton? Let's see if this one will be good for that 57, taking it right out to the grass, exiting Sunset Bend, and across the line, a 2:12.8 will not do it.
No, it won't, but he'll have a chance for 2 more if he wants it. Here comes Tyler King. We talked about him in that fierce battle for 4th place in the GT2 championship, coming through Sunset. Wide entry. We'll talk about this more in the race, but one of the great things about that corner is there are multiple lines you can take to try to get a good overtake done. Here comes King to the line. This looks slightly promising for the Northwestern driver, but not able to do it. 8/10 off his best.
And it looks like Freckleton, who just wrecked, is not going to be able to come back out as a big spin from Sipek. I don't think he's going to be able to get it going again for a hot lap. Maybe he will, actually. He's going to try and turn it around and go, but he's not going to be fast as he rolls across the timing line, so I'm not sure he'll really be able to do much to improve here in the dying stages. Michael Ost, a 59.7, still well off the pace expected for him, as Matt Hollander improved to a 59.6, but he's still last in his class.
Yeah, and I think Ost was held up a little bit on that last lap, being stuck behind I believe it was Hollander there. Here comes Corey Lotvola coming through. You can see just how much more speed those 911s are able to take through Sunset. Comes on to the start-finish straight here. That's Lotvola, and I believe that is Brown behind him. Lotvola's not going to be able to improve, and it looks like Travis Brown isn't as well.
Next one is going to be Tyler King, last to have set a time amidst our GT2 drivers in the 2:11. He's still got a bit of a ways to go, coming up towards Bishop and then into Jean de Bien. So he slows the car up into this back and forth chicane, having to set up for Le Mans, wanting the best exit possible onto the long, bumpy backstretch.
Yeah, and it's really one of the times, that's not going to help Tyler's lap, taking a big excursion off into the grass. Lucky to be able to keep that car controlled under him, but that is going to count as an off track, and I don't think he's going to be able to get back around in enough time. Here comes Freckleton, though. He's going to be cutting it a little close as well.
Freckleton's on an out lap. Let's see if he can get it to the line in time. It's going to be very, very tight. John Momar won't make it back as he's off track. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I think he may have made it across in time, so he should be able to do one last flyer. Michael Ost, our pole sitter, is coming to the line one last time. So is BJ Fulton. Ost not improving. Fulton not either. They stay put. What about Sipek? Can he get the pole away from Mark Rondo? The 16 is there, and it's a 2:13.3.
He's not going to be able to do it there. Next one up looks like it may be Travis Brown coming through. Newton there, obviously starting on a bad lap. He's going to pull it in. Here is Travis coming in, going through Sunset. Let's see if he's got it.
After him, we'll get a chance to watch Freckleton through just about half the lap because he's way back there, and he's the next one through. There he is on screen now, taking that GT4 Cayman up towards Cunningham.
This will give us a good chance to see a little bit how that car will perform around here. Freckleton, as we said, not always the best qualifier, but just has an ability to avoid accidents during the race and keep everything nice and together, making his way through the back portions of this track. Good lines there for him. A little bit of bounce on the curbing. You can see just how much the suspension is taking through the course of this circuit.
He's got a big gap to make up to Matthew in the 16, a full second's worth to try and quicken his lap time. So CPEC out onto the Ullman straight. So far it's looked clean, which is going to be the important thing. Not having any off tracks, which will discount the lap. Excuse me, we're watching Freckleton, not CPEC. This is CPEC behind him, who is already done with his qualifying. Freckleton now coming around the bend, and the timing line is the two behind him. We're not on a hot lap, so I'm glad they did not interrupt him. What's it going to be? A 2:11.9. He's about 6/10 off, and that is it for our qualifying. Let's go through our starting order. Michael Ost will be on the pole with Eric Hagendick starting next to him. Travis Brown will be P3, and Bayan Salehi starts 4th. You've got BJ Fulton in the 5th position with Corey Lotfula in 6th, Paul Newton in 7th, and Jacob Abrams in 8th. Last two, Michael Roban 9th, and Matt Hollander rounding out your top 10.
In that GT2 category, you heard us talk about it. Mark Rondeau starting off on pole. Matthew Sipek not able to pip him to that position. Will start off 2nd. Your points leader, Jerry Freckleton, will be 3rd, followed by Aaron Edwards in 4th, and Jeffrey Shulam rounding out your top 5. John Momeyer, Freckleton's closest competition in that championship, will be 6th, followed by Adam Fulton, Tyler King, and I believe Michael Johnson and Eric Oviatt did not connect to the server. Excuse me, Johnson did not, but Oviatt not putting in a time, but he is going to be in the back of the field.
I just about have everybody gridded up. We're waiting on Oviatt. And that should be it before we get going here for round 12 and the Porsche Owners Club Series. It has been a fascinating season amongst the drivers, and soon we'll start having to take into account some of their drop weeks for this championship. Big thank you to the sponsors, as always, for helping make this year-long championship happen, including Porsche, of course, as well as Sunset Mortgage. And then, as we mentioned before, Octavio Tequila and Century Financial Consultants. So tip of the hat to all of them for their efforts to get this thing on the air. I think we should be ready to go any second now behind that Porsche pace car. And DJ, at least the one good thing is the racing conditions, the weather conditions, look pretty ideal.
They really, really do, Joe. It's about 75 degrees out on track with a 72-degree air temperature, very minimal winds out of the southeast at 2 miles an hour. And thankfully for Florida, only 21% humidity, so not a lot that these drivers are going to have to deal with. That means it's going to be very easy, not a lot of high tire wear, and just some good racing out on track.
Very short pace lap to get going. They start on the Ullman straight, and the Porsche pace car immediately pulls off. Green flag is out for Michael Ost, but he is not quick off the line. To his outside, Hagendick already challenging for the lead. He's not been having the greatest of seasons. Could this be his chance to turn it around? He slips back into second. but he's got a great run off the corner once again. He has to check up. Now Travis Brown comes in, and he tips him around. Brown is also into Salehi, and our leader is off. This means that up at the front, it is Corey Lotfula after 3 corners. And
oh my!
spinning.
Oh, that's more spinning. I think that was Abrams off in the background that we saw spinning around.
Doe still leads in the GT4. Sepek behind him. A much more organized start for them. Freckleton in third. Shulam way behind in fourth, already losing about 2 seconds.
Is indeed, and in that category, Rondeau got a very, very good start, but Sepek was able to close in behind. It was a very spread out start across the field. The top 3 really starting to distance themselves out to the tune of about 4.2 seconds. Shulam, I think, got the move done on John Momeyer, so everything's sticking pretty true here.
Unbelievable. About half of our field, in fact, exactly half of our field involved in opening incidents in the GT1 class, promoting Lotfula from 6th to the lead with a handy 3-second gap to the nearest car, which is BJ Fulton.
He is indeed a big kerfluffle at the start, throwing a lot of problems here for our drivers. Fulton's going to have some room to make up here, but Paul Newton not making it easy for him, definitely keeping the pressure up to that 277.
So Fulton's going to have to fight for this one. Newton gaining quite a few spots as well, from 7th to 3rd for him as they fly down the Ullman Straight. Incredibly, in all of that, only one driver was forced to take the tow. That was Hagendick with the huge blow that he took. Look at this fight. Here's Sepek with a great run down to Sunset Bend. Rondo does not defend at first and then chops him off on the entry.
Oh, but there's contact! That is contact between Sepek and Rondeau, and splitting the difference is, to the surprise of no one, Jerry Freckleton.
Amazingly, everybody managed to get through without running into either of those cars, despite them being abreast across the track. We're going to watch Freckleton's view, a front row view to the action.
Both cars just spinning in unison. Freckleton splitting the difference. That is what makes a champion, just heads up thinking in the moment.
We've seen that all season long, too. Freckleton not necessarily the fastest on one-lap pace, but he just keeps taking good finishes while everybody else around him seems to falter. So he's now well ahead of Momeyer as we once again look at our GT1 leaders. I think we have the replay spooled up for that opening incident into turn 3. I know Hagendick was involved in this, Salehi as well. Oh, yeah, you can see the tail end of it right there.
All right, so this is following Eric Hagendick here. This is really where the whole thing came apart. Just carried too much speed going down into that turn. You can see it comes across, catches the way, and that causes everybody. Oh, and big contact there from Hagendick. Ost, just an unlucky passenger there as well.
He must not have known that he wasn't clear because he just came across the bow, and that just caused everything to unfold. So where is our championship leader in the GT1s? He is in 8th right now. A 3.8 second gap up to Travis Brown, one of his rivals just in front of him. Not sure what state the car is in. Now, he does have a spare car, but there's no scheduled pit stops in this event.
Yeah, and just taking a look at that car, Joe, looking at the front splitter, it does look like there is some damage to it. That looks a little bit wonky, so I think he definitely does have a little bit damage on the car. Thankfully, no rear wing damage, which I would expect to slow it down in a straight line. He may just have a little bit of problem with turn-in.
First full flying lap, a 58.3 for Bayern. Compare that to last lap for our leader, Lotfula, a 56.7. He does seem to be a little bit off the pace, unfortunately.
Yeah, there you can see riding on board with him here. Let's just kind of keep an eye, see what his steering's like. There's a lot of little mini minor corrections there. I would expect that, especially coming out of corner, losing some front grip, trying to maintain the car the best that he can. We should get a good idea as he dives down here into the hairpin. Under the bridge, he'll get on the binders. Yeah, look at how much he's having to shake that car around a little bit. Hard there, counter steering coming out of the corner. With as fresh as these tires are, I wouldn't expect that, so he is definitely suffering a little bit.
just in front of him, Brown might be able to get another position in the GT1s. He's got Jacob Abrams in his sights as they head through Collier. Split by about half a second. There you can see Abrams in the bright red and white Porsche. Brown trailing as we now hop on board with Jacob.
And remember, Jacob was one of those ones who had an off there that we caught out of the back of the camera, so that's why he's down out of position a little bit. But looking at those last lap times, Brown definitely has the speed by the tune of about 0.5 of a second. Ooh, Abrams goes very, very wide. That's going to allow for Brown to catch up even more.
Down to 0.3 of a second now, so based on what you just reported last lap, he should be able to catch, if not pass him, within this next lap. It all depends on how hard 728 wants to fight. A little peek to the inside there from Brown, but nothing serious.
Oh, and Joe, back in the GT2s, I have to say, Aaron Edwards and Mark Rondeau just made a little bit of contact. Edwards getting into the back of Eric Oviatt. Rondeau able to escape with not a lot of damage, but definitely a tough race for our pole sitter.
I wonder if we could get a replay of this incident. All three cars involved in this one coming into Tower. Easy place to make a misjudgment. Here it is right here. Oh, and he was way offline already. Oh, and into the grass for the 5. Just kind of complicated things. There was the contact. Thankfully, both able to keep it moving forward.
Yeah, really nowhere for Rondeau to go on that, which is unfortunate, but he is able to carry on Rondeau back into 4th place right now.
Brown just got the spot from Abrams into 6, down into the hairpin. Nice pass for the 728, or for the 300 rather, on the 728. So one more down. He's got 9 seconds to catch up to Robon from here. Fortunately, those opening incidents did spread apart much of the fields in this half-hour race. Hollander going up from last in his class to 4th, but he's going to have to fight Michael Robon for it as the 929 quickly approaches.
Yeah, and Robon was about 0.4 of a second faster on that last lap out, and he's going to get the benefit of the draft here going down the long Ullman straight, carrying some good speed. There is Robon, able to have about 5 or 6 mile an hour more as they go in. You can see just how much those bumps upset the cars they go through. Eric Hagendick, though, setting the fastest lap of the race there as you saw that pip across your screen.
Yeah, but even with his speed, he's going to have to hope for those ahead to have some serious trouble. I don't think he'll even be able to catch Michael Ost before these 21 minutes are over. Credit to Holland. He is keeping Robon behind him. The 69 car braking hard into turn 3, weaving it down through the next set of corners and into Big Bend. Oh, but it's a great run from Michael.
Yeah, it really is. He may have a little bit of a look here if he wants it. He may be going for it down into the hairpin.
He's got a great run, and he's better on the brakes, but Hollander covers the inside. He's going to hold him back once again. Obviously feeling a little bit under threat as Ost now takes the fastest lap back.
Indeed, definitely driving a little bit defensive there, perfectly within margins, nothing too shady going on. Ooh, but a little bit of a lock up there, and that forces Robon offline ever so slightly, and so that'll cost him a few tenths of a second.
Report on Brian Salehi. We mentioned we thought he might be down on pace. Well, it looks like he's got the car sussed out now that he's felt it out. Despite all the dented fenders on the car, he's down to a 56.7 last time by, which was actually, well, that was the quickest lap, I think, last time by. No, Ost had that, excuse me. But it was within a few hundredths of our race leader, Corey Lotvala.
Yeah, so keeping it very, very close, the best he can up there. Very much a shame for the number 15, what could have been for that first lap incident. You can see the car getting a little squirrely. Although we're going to check over here. Rondeau was able to get by Oviatt, multi-corner battle, finally able to get it to go, but a little squirrely there for Rondeau going into the hairpin.
Don't count out Aaron Edwards. Remember, these are the 3 we saw tangle just a couple laps ago. Going to watch from the perspective of Aaron in that number 5. And even at only a second behind, look at how tiny that number 23 looks in the windscreen.
Yeah, disappearing there off into the distance. He's got to be very, very careful. He will lose touch with all of this entirely. And remember, this is the remnants of that little skirmish that we saw earlier with Edwards and Rondeau both taken to the grass.
Holding station at about the same distance apart, although Rondeau seems to, wow, yeah, Rondeau has gapped them in those last few corners, up to 1.7, now 1.9. So the 171 is on a mission. Remember, he started in second place. So he's dropped a couple spots and dropped a fair bit of time. Oh no, Salehi with more problems. Salehi's around at the hairpin.
Oh no, that damaged the car, paint a little bit bad for Bayern. Let's go back and check out the replay here, see what happened. Goes into the braking zone, everything seems okay. Ooh, just a little bit too much speed, maybe a slight bit of rear brake lock up there. Able to get it turned around and going forward again, but definitely costing Bayern some more time that he cannot afford to lose.
Something we haven't talked about yet when driving a damaged car like that, DJ, is what it does to the tires, the difference in how they wear. Wonder if that's maybe catching them out a little bit.
Could very well be as well. You know, the iRacing system here doesn't necessarily go into flat spotting. It's something that they have talked about maybe adding in later, but it will add different wear rates. And as a result, the wear rates on the tires, you will have to drive it differently, try to drive a little bit more sensitive through a right-handed corner or a left-handed corner, depending on where that is. So he could be suffering a little bit from that.
Well, in front of him for the 4th spot, Hollander has been clinging to things, but he's coming upon traffic now. He's got Adam Fulton, who's actually going to do a great job pulling out of the way. Raban is still tight, close behind that number 69, and very good on the brakes as well, coming into 3.
Yeah, very good on the brakes, but a good exit there for Raban as well. Doesn't carry as much speed as he would have liked to there coming out of Gurney Bend. Work their way here, lining up for the hairpin. Not going to really be close enough to make an attack here, but Raban just keeping up as much pressure as he can.
Yeah, with the drivers having those incidents, it's not just them being spread out, but also having to deal with various traffic quite early. In fact, our leader in the GT2s is already getting close to lapping the last car in that class. Hopefully that won't cause too many issues. They see the leader, Jerry Freckleton, with a handy points gap at this stage in the season of 30 points over Momeyer. Momeyer, though, is only about 6 seconds behind him. So if he does run into trouble, it's not going to take long for the 6 to run him down.
No, Jerry's going to have to be very careful. Just make sure he keeps everything on the gray stuff around here at Sebring. There is the number 6 of John Momeyer trying to reel him in the best he can.
Well, with all our watching Hollander and Raban, Travis Brown has been doing a phenomenal job closing in and making this a 3-way fight now. You can see him there in the FAF machine, just trying to see if he can size up the 929 and the 69. They fly through that first corner, dealing with the bumps. Oh, and man, he is so much faster than that blue 929.
He is, but carried a little bit too much speed there. You saw him go out onto the dirt. Didn't lose too much time, though, thankfully, did Travis Brown. Now taking a wider line there through the corner, making their way through Gurney Bend. Wow, look at that acceleration. He's going to have a move on Hollander. Off into the grass. He's going to have the move.
Saw just a car's width available, and he was going to take it. So next up is Hollander for him, out braking Raban into the corner. He's up to 5th from nearly last in his class at the first lap. How high can Travis Brown go?
Well, if he's able to get by Hollander, he's going to have his work cut out for him. The next car up, Paul Newton, is about 13 seconds up the road, but we're going to keep focused here because this is what is directly in front of Travis Brown. Matthew Hollander, they are about to come up to Tyler King here. This is 6th place in the GT2 category. This is a slower lapped car.
Can he act as a pick? Maybe. Could Brown maybe get by easier? No. He's going to be well aware of the situation. He sees the battling cars, and he pulls off to the side to let them through. But Brown is looking mighty today. Even though Hollander was able to hold back Robon, I'm not sure if he's going to have the same success with this 300 machine. And Abrams is closing too.
Yeah, he is. Abrams coming up behind him on that, but here comes Brown. Very defensive line there for Matt Hollander, just trying to take away any of the inside that he can, but Travis Brown's going to try to carry momentum around the outside. It'll all be to play for as they get on the start-finish straightaway. Brown definitely has more momentum, but Hollander able to block him off a little bit. That'll blunt him ever so slightly. Aaron Edwards right ahead, lap traffic. This could get spicy.
Wasn't the over-under for Brown, it was the over-over. Went clear around the outside, and that gets it done. Travis Brown into P4, Hollander shuffled to 5th.
And there it is. Travis Brown now sets his sights ahead, able to claw that gap down to about 11 seconds up to Paul Newton, so all hope is not lost here for the 300 machine.
Yeah, I think based on his pace, actually, I'm looking at the lap times now, 57 flat, 57.5, 58.3 dealing with passing cars that last time. Newton, 58.2, 57.6, 58.9. So it's going to take a lot, and I honestly don't think he'll get up to Paul Newton, but you never know the way that he's racing right now.
No, exactly. But Joe, to draw our attention backwards, now that he has moved ahead, this battle is starting to heat up a little bit behind him between Hollander, Robon, and Abrams. Looking very, very good here. Abrams caught up to the back of Robon, really starting to press. That's them getting around Eric Oviatt right now in the GT2s.
I'm very impressed with Abrams. Qualified 8th and is picking people off here in the race. So clearly, looks like he's got pretty good race pace, forcing Robon off the racing line a little bit there, continuing to go defensive into the corners. And this has got to be tough for Michael. He's having to play offense and defense at the same time, and it seems to be hurting him.
Yeah, you never want to be in that sandwich, and Abrams is going to take full advantage, pulls out to the inside, although it's going to get a little bit interesting here because Robon's going to have the draft of Hollander ahead of him. Abrams knows it, backs off a little bit there. He's going to try to pull up. Ooh, almost into the wall.
Hashtag send it. 728 is going to take it easily from Michael Robon. I did not expect him to suddenly come up alongside under braking that easily. Watching it from one more angle here.
Yeah, so here you see, this is going to be a great angle. Now, this is Abrams, what I was talking about, wanting to back off a little bit, try to get the draft, and then he just saw the opportunity and went for it. Joe, you could slide a paper between him and the wall.
Oh, and he just went off, unfortunately, through turn 5. He's going to get spun out and hands back all his hard work. He was chasing down Hollander, spying in another opportunity, and it all slipped away with a little too much curb, I think.
Yeah, here's the replay of it there. You can see trying to come up under Hollander. Little over-eager there, I have to say, coming out of turn 3. Tried to force his car in there, and Joe, you hit the nail on the head, just got up onto that curb, and that's what sent him around.
I'm a little bit sad about that because that robbed us of what was some good battles. He fell back to 8th. But despite 2 cars interrupting things and trying to fly through, one of them successful, one of them not, Hollander and Robon continue their fight now for 5th instead of 4th.
Right, so this fight is not yet over yet. There you see Hollander ahead in that 69. Robon trying to chase him down in the 929. A little bit of lap traffic there. That is Jerry Freckleton, the class leader, right ahead of them. Whoa, that's going to slow down Hollander a little bit. Freck trying to get out of the way. Almost contact between him and Robon.
He's got his own race to worry about, and he doesn't want to give up time to Momeyer. Unfortunately, that little scuffle probably did cost him a second, perhaps, as everybody once again down into Sunset Bend. This is our closest fight on the track now. I was a bit curious about the lap times between Latvala and Fulton to see if he was actually gaining on Corey, and I think he might be. Wonder if we could pull up the comparison here as we take a glance at the 22.
That is your leader Fulton, or your leader Latvala right there. There you can see a little bit of a seesaw, but able to grow it ever so slightly.
Latvala is faster, it appears, for most of the laps. Other than lap 6, just about a 10th slower than Fulton. So my instincts were wrong. BJ is not hanging tight behind the 22. He's dropping bit by bit, and he's only got 10 more minutes left to go. But you never know. The traffic could maybe play a part here today, as they have lapped a few of our GT2s already.
Indeed they have. This is that battle, though, between Hollander and Robon. Ooh, Hollander going in for a send, looking at maybe a little bit of a crossover, but he wasn't able to make it work around the outside. That'll cost him a couple of tenths there. That's Travis Brown ahead of him. What happened to Brown?
I'm not entirely sure. He must have had a mistake. He looks a little bit off the pace, and he's under threat from Hollander, as Robon also falls away from the two of them. Down through Bishop into the braking of Jean Debienne. And Travis Brown will retain it, but now he's going to give a big old toe to Matt Hollander.
Yes, indeed, and I can tell our audience that I just checked it out. Brown looked like he just missed the apex going into the hairpin, caused him to run wide. No damage to the car, but definitely took a little excursion off into the grass.
That's probably going to put paid to any hopes he had of catching Paul Newton. Instead, now he's got to focus behind. Hollander taking a look. Not able to make it happen, though, as they come off the turn. Last time, Brown looked like he had much better pace than the pair of them. See if he can repeat the feat.
He's going to be hoping to hear Hollander trying to keep up a little bit of pressure, but he's also got to be looking in his rearview mirror to make sure that Michael Robon doesn't try anything.
Going to look at the battle for second. Oh, and side by side, Momeyer and Rondeau. I believe this is the 6 on the attack. Rondeau is unfortunately not going to be able to hold him behind, as Momeyer manages to move into P2, but he's shallow into turn 1, fighting back. Mark Rondeau tries to go for the inside into turn 3. There's a space open, but it shuts.
Actually, Joe, this is Rondeau on the attack. If you remember, Rondeau started off in pole and then got together with CPEC at the very beginning, and that's what let him bad exit off the corner for Momeyer. That's going to allow for Rondeau to get by.
Little bit of a mistake, unfortunately, for John Momeyer. Mark Rondeau capitalizes, and looking to the inside, Momeyer thought maybe he could do something. Ooh, deep there from Mark. Momeyer could have had a shot, but he wasn't close enough.
No, he wasn't.
Let's jump back up to Hollander and Robon once again. And what we said about Travis Brown seems to be coming to fruition. He's pulling away from them. But remember Brian Salehi? We haven't looked at him in a while. Well, if we back up a little bit, you will see a dark black car closing in on Robon and Hollander.
Indeed he is. Last lap out, he was 3/10 faster than Salehi, not 3/10. He was about a second and a half faster. Very, very fast here. So he is closing in like a train with a full head of steam. We tick under 6 minutes to go. Salehi's race may not be over. He could be looking at a top 5.
Remember, that gap up at the front is incredibly tight between himself and Michael Johnson. So he wants to get as many points as he can since he's not here today. And every finishing position will mean something today.
Indeed it will, but it looks like right now you can see they're ahead. Hollander closing in, getting closed in again on by Michael Robon. Little bit of an awkward line there from all of them trying to take an early apex into the corner. It's going to draw them all close. There's only about a second separating all of these 3 drivers.
It's amazing. It's almost been like Robon and Hollander have been central station today. The battles of other people have been coming in and out of them, and those two have just been stuck together like glue amidst it all. So will Salehi be able to get by? Or will he also suffer from the same thing that we saw from other drivers before, just slipping up? Riding with Bayan Salehi, getting right underneath the rear wing of the blue 929.
Very good job. Wider exit there coming out of the Le Mans curve. That's going to really help him get some better speed, hopefully. He is also going to get the advantage of the double draft. The gap coming down here. He's going to have to be very late on the brakes to make a move here, but he is certainly drawing closer and closer with each passing foot on this track.
I do believe we are 3 laps to go for our drivers. Lotville crossed with about 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Salehi still chasing. And once again, Robon in a tough spot. He wants to attack, but he's also got to defend, and unfortunately, he's got to defend hard. He tries to, but half-heartedly covers. Here comes Salehi. He's not daring enough to try and chuck it in into 3, but he's certainly close, and he is on the move.
Very much is. You saw him struggle a little bit with front-end grip coming out of Sunset, but there he gets a nice crossover move that's going to set him up for the inside of the hairpin, but he doesn't even need to worry about that. He's already by Michael Robon.
Mike thinks about it, and then he backs out of it. Now Salehi's setting his sights to Matt Hollander. Can he do this in the remaining 3 laps?
Well, the way Bayan's been driving, I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Closing into the back of Hollander, but we've seen Hollander put up some pretty stout defense here. So let's see how this plays out. He's going to try to probably be focusing here on getting a good run through Bishop, in Gundabien, and through Le Mans to get a good run down the Ullman Straight.
Ooh, he's forcing him into a defensive line into Tower, and he's going to cut underneath him. Is he going to be able to get through completely? Side by side through Bishop can be a little bit hairy, and he's on the outside of the pair of them, but it'll give him the inside of Jean Debienne, and I think he's almost got it done. No, still fighting for it. Hollander not willing to give up, and finally the job is done.
Oh, and a lockup and a little bit of contact, more contact between Robon and Hollander.
How did Matt keep that thing pointed forward? Robon was right into the quarter panel all through the turn.
Yeah, very, very tight all the way through here. There you can see it, that lockup. Little bit of a hit and a hit again. Great driving from the both of them.
Incredible stuff. Oh, Oviat just had an issue. Oh, single car incident here for the 23. Spun off in turn 5. And the 23 took a big hit after that. So now it's for 6th instead. Robon and Hollander left alone from Salehi, who goes on ahead as they put another lap on Adam Fulton, 8th in the GT2s. Now, I think the lap traffic has been holding up Corey Lotville here, because every time I've looked back, Fulton has been chipping away.
He has indeed, Joe. That gap has come down to about 1.4 seconds here. Now the only lap traffic they're going to have to deal with is Eric Hagendick about 8 seconds up the road, and that is in their own class, so I don't anticipate them coming up behind it. 1.4 is going to be a little close in terms of the draft effectiveness, but let's see how this shakes out.
Let's see, is anybody in front of them? They have Hagendick, but he's in the same class, so not really likely to catch him, and Momire is way up the road, so they probably won't get more traffic before this is done, or at least that will likely hold them up. So a 1.5 seconds. BJ is going to have to hustle if he wants to try and take this victory.
It's able to shave a few hundredths off down the Ullman Straight and get it down to a 10th once they come out of Sunset. White flag waving there. So this is all to play for here for BJ Fulton, and Corey Lotville has got to know that the pressure is on.
Fulton yet to take a victory this season, whereas Corey Lotville does have one under his belt. So this could be important to BJ. to make himself known in this championship fight. How hard does he push? It's down to 1.3 seconds, 1.1. He's closing.
He is indeed. Now here we come down into the hairpin. Let's see if BJ is going to be able to close up some time on the brakes. It's got it down to a solitary second here.
Ooh. Lock up from Lotvilla there into the hairpin. As we hop on board with BJ Fulton, he's been pushing to try and get this down all race long, and it comes down to the final lap to execute. What has he got inside him? 0.8 of a second now as they hit Collier. Half the lap left to go.
He's going to be in prime range to take full advantage of the draft down the Ullman Straight. He may be looking at a move to send it. Loses a little bit of time, though, as they make their way around the tower turn. Gap now at about 8.5 of a second. Make their way up through Bishop. Here we go. 2 more corners. These are the most crucial corners for BJ.
Round 6 was the last time that we saw Lotvilla on the top step of the podium in Okayama. As he comes out, it is down to 0.7 of a second. This might be too little too late as long as he is smooth through the final corner. Corey Lotvilla started from 6. He took advantage of everybody around, falling to an opening wreck. What's it gonna be? As he comes off the corner, he does hold it steady, and Corey Lotvilla is gonna win today at Sebring.
A very good drive from Corey and a very good chase behind him from BJ Fulton. Both drivers have to be very, very proud of that result.
What a recovery from Bayan Salehi. Started from 5th, and he's actually back to 5th. But he's slowing up. What is going on? What's happened to Salehi? Hollander just went by.
I'm not.
Oh, something is wrong with the car, and Robon actually runs into him, and Robon is off. Ost is through, is in 7th position as Salehi falls to 7th. There must have been a technical problem for the 15 at the very end.
Oh, heartbreak for Bayan after a great charge back through the field, but we're going to check back in on our GT2 points leader and championship leader. This is Jerry Freckleton. He does have Mark Rondeau making a little bit of a charge behind him, but he's 1.9 seconds back, so I think he's going to be relatively calm, making his way around now through Bishop.
Freckleton also, boy, we're seeing some trends here. Last win, round 6 at Okayama, but he's back on top. He's already taken 3 wins so far this season, the most of any driver in the GT2 class. He's looking to extend this one to 4, and despite a little bit of pressure from Rondeau, if he just keeps cool, he's got this one in the bag. Jerry Freckleton, another one that took advantage of those around making mistakes. The 57 is certainly a classic here in this series. As he comes out of Sunset Bend, it'll be Jerry Freckleton for the 4th time this season taking victory.
Yet another drive where Freckleton just keeps everything together and doesn't make any mistakes. Mark Rondeau coming back from that early incident to come home 2nd, with John Momeyer coming in 3rd, trying to minimize any damage to his championship rival, Jerry Freckleton.
What a race that one was. It's full of twists and turns, but we are going to take a turn into a break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. Round 12 at the halfway mark of the Porsche Owners Club Series saw Corey Lotvilla take his second victory of the season. He was run down at the very end by BJ Fulton, but it looks like it was too little too late, and he went from fifth to only second, separated by 6/10 at the line. Paul Newton with a very quiet third place at the end for podium. Travis Brown recovering to P4, with Matt Hollander jumping up to fifth at the end. In mysterious circumstances, Ost as well to sixth, despite qualifying on the pole. He had an opening lap incident, and Robon getting wrecked and winding up in seventh, with Bayan Salehi charging forward. Looked like he was going to get a fifth place, and then we're not sure what happened, but he seemed to have lost some sort of power and kind of limped to the line. Jacob Abrams was ninth, and Eric Hagendick was 10th.
In that GT2 category, Jerry Freckleton taking his fourth win of the season, followed by Mark Rondeau recovering from an early incident, and John Momeyer rounding out your podium. Tyler King came home in fourth, and Matthew Sepik was in fifth, with Adam Fulton sixth and Jeffrey Shulam seventh. Aaron Edwards was eighth, with Eric Oviatt in ninth.
That takes us to our winner in the GT1 class, Corey Lotvilla. Corey, two interesting moments, well, I guess two interesting eras or portions of the race, for, if you will, the start and the end. Let's start with the beginning. You suddenly found yourself leading the race after just a couple corners. What was going through your head?
Oh man, I could have done just as good with my eyes closed through that corner. There were cars everywhere. It was just a right place at the right time, I guess.
I mean, sometimes you got to take what's given to you, but then you get to the end. We thought, based on the rest of the race, it looked like you had the pace over BJ. Were you just managing things by those last few laps, or was he genuinely reeling you in?
I knew BJ was faster than me, so I was pushing 110% the whole race. I was trying pretty hard to get a ways out from him, because I knew the GT4s were coming and they were going to hold us back for sure, and I was hoping they would get him more than me. But last lap, I just started making stupid little mistakes, and that's just what it takes. And one little GTR or GT4 mess up, it wasn't his fault, it was mine, but that's what brought it that close.
This will give you a nice little boost in the championship, especially considering Bayan had a bad day, and of course we're missing Michael Johnson. So do you see yourself kind of being brought back to the fore, maybe have a better chance now that we're entering the second half and you're starting it on a good note like this?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I hope this really starts it off. I know I'm behind BJ by 4 or 5 points. It's pretty close. So hopefully that jumps me up a little bit. But yeah, just a good race today.
Well, congratulations on the victory. Go and celebrate, and feel free to thank whoever helped make this happen.
Yeah, I would love to thank Schmidt Racing. They're awesome. Family and friends, especially my sister. She's always out there cheering me on. I get the big text after the race. She's all happy. I want to thank the POC and you guys for putting on a great show. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Corey Lotvilla, our winner in the GT1s, and DJ has caught up with our winner in the GT2s.
Well, Jerry, you had a pretty commanding lead on that race for the most part of it, but I got to ask you about the start. Looked like you separated the seas there with that incident in front of you. Talk me through that first lap.
As we started going through that, all of a sudden I think it was Moormeyer, somebody would just start getting sideways and the other one went, and I didn't know which way to go, and then all of a sudden I saw it start to open and I just put my foot in it. I got to change my shorts on that one. But
Go ahead, Jerry.
I'll tell you, I got to give it up to my coach, Michael W. Johnson. I mean, not only coached me, but was my spotter. And I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how much help this guy has given me. It's just incredible. I can't say enough. But what a race, huh?
An incredible race, and a little bird told me you got a 0x for the first time this season. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, well, if you notice, I got my front hood still. Usually I don't go real fast until that hood goes off.
Well, there you go. Now we move from the bumpiness of Sebring this week. I believe next time out, we're going to Sonoma, one of the most technical and difficult tracks, I would say, on the iRacing service. How do you think it's going to go?
Hopefully we can be in the top 3. I think we'll do rather well. I have a lot of laps on that track in an enduro go-kart, which was, about 30 years ago, but I look forward to going back to that track. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I know we're looking forward to watching it, Jerry. Anybody you'd like to thank for this win here tonight?
Thank the one and only Michael W. Johnson, that's for sure. Airwolf 3D machine worked really, really well. You guys, the announcers, I can't wait to watch the replay on all this stuff. You guys make it really exciting, and my girlfriend and I sit down and get some popcorn and have a real good time. And of course, all the members of the POC deal, and just thanks for everything, everybody. And hopefully the people that are watching it enjoy the show.
Well, I know we love bringing it to you. That was your winner in the GT2 category, Jerry Freckleton. And now Joe Peak is caught up with BJ Fulton.
Indeed, BJ coming home just 6/10 behind Latvala in the end. You were another one, obviously, that took advantage of all the incidents on the first lap. But from there, how hard were you pushing the whole race? Was it 100% every lap, or did you kind of take it easy in the middle part?
No, I was kind of taking it easy a little bit on the middle part, especially getting through all the traffic. I didn't want to make any, stupid mistakes. And I knew I had a little pace on Corey in the tank, but I think I waited just one lap too late, too long.
Well, that kind of answers what was going to be my second question then. But I take it there's maybe a few regrets on that, but you get a good points day compared to some of your rivals and another podium on the cards. How do you feel after bringing home a second place?
I feel pretty good about it. It was unfortunate that first corner incident, and I feel really bad for a lot of those guys that got taken out. But sometimes that's happened to me, and that's kind of how racing goes. So I'll take the second place happily. Although I think Corey was behind me in the standings, so he was the one person that needed to beat, and he was the only one to beat me.
The frustrations of racing in a championship sometimes. Even still, good points, Hall. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again.
Thanks.
It was BJ Fulton's second place in the GT1s. DJ has Mark Rondeau, who was not too far behind Freckleton in the GT2s.
Mark, I gotta feel like this is a race of what could have been. You started out on pole and then charged back up through the field to finish a very impressive P2 after that first lap incident.
It was a tough battle getting back. Fortunately, I wasn't damaged and not too far back. Didn't have time to catch Jerry though. He had enough time and enough pace to stay ahead of me.
Well, we were seeing to see if that battle was going to shape up. But, talk me through a little bit of your mindset. You get spun around like that. Were you just on a full charge at that point, or were you just trying to take what came to you?
I was trying to take what came to me. I wanted to go, I was shooting for 211s. That's race pace. Try not to push too hard. Try not to make any mistakes. Aaron Edwards got a little grass in front of me. And that was a little scary, but I was able to back out of it, no damage to the car, and get around him. And just, I was just looking one car at a time, trying to pick him off.
Well, I'd certainly say that's the way to do it, and it paid out in spades for you. Mark, anybody you'd like to thank for this second place charge?
Just POC, as always, for putting these events on, GSRC for your wonderful broadcasts, and my family. We're going through a tough time, and it was good to see everyone over the weekend and then still make it here in time to race.
Well, thank you. That was your second place finisher in the GT2, Mark Rondeau. And now Joe Peak has caught up with your third place in the GT1s, Paul Newton.
Yes, and I believe this ties his best result of the season. here, Paul. So that's got to feel good. But compared to the rest of the drivers, your race looked somewhat pedestrian compared to everybody else. Did it feel boring inside there?
Well, certainly not during the first couple of turns. I had to drive through 3 or 4 accidents there. But then after that, I was hanging on to BJ for a while. But then once we caught up to the lap cars, he got through those guys much more quickly than I did. And once he got away, I kind of just sat back and let the race happen. I actually had to dial back my fuel a little bit to make sure I made it to the end.
Ah, interesting. We did see some strange troubles for other drivers as the race ended, but that's your second podium, like I mentioned. Do you think you can go, a step or two higher now that you've got 2 of them under your belt? Seems like 2 is a good trend.
I hope so, but I think I might need a few more 8-car pileups in front of me for that to be able to happen.
Well, I mean, this seems like an unpredictable series, so you never know what's going to happen. Congratulations. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this one?
I'd like to thank the POC for putting it on and the GSRC for broadcasting it. And I want to thank Peel's California Mandarins and PaulNewtonDesign.com.
Great stuff there from Paul Newton. And finally, I believe we have John Momeyer bringing it home in third in the GT2s.
Well, John, it was a pretty hectic race up and down the field, but we unfortunately didn't get to spend a whole lot of time on you because it looked like it was relatively calm for you for a lot of it.
It was definitely calm after that first lap. I got by the cars that were spinning. I didn't know who all was involved. I think I got a little contact myself with Jeff Schulen. He may have gone straight into a wall, but yeah, suddenly it was just Jerry in front of me. I was just trying to stay on the track.
Well, I'd say it worked out pretty well for you. And speaking of Jerry, obviously you are closest to him in points, crossing over the halfway point of the season here. You going to change anything to try to chase down Jerry, or what's your strategy going into the second half?
Try to do a little more practice if I can find the time, but we're coming to some tracks that we've driven a little more often than the other ones, so I'm hoping that helps out too. We're going to Sonoma next, which is where the POC is heading. So all the time we're going to spend in the sim this next couple of weeks will pay off as we get to the track here.
Well, all right. That sounds like a pretty ringing endorsement to me. John, anybody you'd like to thank for this third place finish here tonight?
Oh, as always, I got to thank Precision Motion for taking care of the car when we're at the track, and all my family that's watching, the wife, the kids, and Granny and Jill and my mom and dad. And for you guys taking care of the commentary, it's fantastic to sit back and watch later. And again, all the volunteers at POC that help us make all this happen every time.
Thank you very much, John. That was your third place finisher in the GT2 category, John Momeyer. Joe?
And that's going to take us to a wrap for tonight as we give a big thank you to our sponsors of the series, Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com, as well as Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We've also got our social media outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because next time we're going to Sonoma. That'll be Monday, July 5th at 11 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.